It's my opportunity to ask questions next, and just want to acknowledge that last question or issue that you raised, Senator Blumenthal. I may, in my time, hopefully get to a follow-up question on that, because it may not be a cyber attack, but hugely significant vulnerability that you raise. You know, our healthcare system is uniquely important and vulnerable to cybersecurity attacks and vulnerabilities, and the issue touches all of our constituents. As has been discussed, data breaches and ransomware attacks on healthcare providers and third-party device makers have affected millions of Californians alone. I reviewed the mandatory breach notifications filed with the Department of Health and Human Services, and as of yesterday morning, there are 63 different California-based breaches of unsecured protected health information under investigation, affecting over 90 million people. That's more than 2 times the state's population. So this national scale of the problem is alarming. In addition to the inappropriate disclosure of personal information, any disruption to the systems used in the healthcare and public healthcare settings could be catastrophic for many Americans who rely on their services for care. So I thank Chairman Peters for holding this important hearing. The first question may seem a little basic and maybe a little softball, but I think it's critical for folks that are following this hearing in person and online. Breaches in the healthcare sector allow for the disclosure of patient health information, as well as Social Security, other personal identifiable information, and sensitive information. So I want to be sure that the public appreciates why this information is so sensitive for patients and why the healthcare sector in particular is such an attractive target for attacks. I'll direct the question to Mr. Martin. Why is personal health information so sensitive and valuable to those who would seek to steal it?
Senator, thank you for your question. Part of what makes healthcare data so sensitive is that it doesn't change, that it is something that continues to grow, but it isn't something that can be reset or changed, like a password or a credit card number or something like that. So once it falls into a bad actor's hands, that information can be used in perpetuity to purport, future, crimes, whether that's, identity theft or blackmail of the individual. Those types of things then become possible forever, as opposed to something where an individual could take an action to stop that happening in the future.
Thank you. It's, again, important, I think, to put a spotlight on. Now, according to a report last year from the cybersecurity firm Sophos, 66% of healthcare organizations, 2/3, were hit by ransomware attacks last year. 44% of healthcare organizations suffered an attack in the last year, took up to a week to recover from the most significant attack, and 25% of them took up to a month. I'll direct the question to Mr. Garcia. Can you speak to the specific challenges that healthcare organizations face in recovering from a ransomware attack and the resulting impact on people seeking medical care? And I think a more direct version of the question that Senator Hawley asked vis-a-vis foreign actors, how can the government help reduce the recovery time?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Many hospitals that are disrupted by ransomware attacks are unable to schedule appointments. They're unable to perform procedures or surgeries. They have to go to a paper-based environment. Our graduating medical students these days have never seen a pad of prescription paper with a pen. It's all electronic now. So to move to a...
I mean, their penmanship is even worse?
Then penmanship is even worse. It's now all thumbs. Getting back online, we actually put together a resource for health systems that have been disabled for an extended period of time. It's called Operational Continuity After a Cyber Incident. And there's many steps that need to be taken to ensure that you appropriately sequence getting infected systems back online so that they're not reinfected. and prioritizing continuity of care to those patients who need it most, and that includes getting your financial systems back online so that you can get reimbursement, so that you don't go into the red and insolvent. Recommendations about what the government can do to help. One of the things we've been discussing and was sort of touched on on this panel is, can there be a strike force from the government that can come in and help with whether it's CISA or HHS, to help with reconstituting systems and bringing things back online, doing the forensics and the triage at a cybersecurity level for those smaller systems. And that could include some kind of financial assistance to make sure that that the priority is going to patients while they are bringing systems back online.
Thank you. Thank you. In my time left, I want to raise one more issue and question. You know, today there are hundreds of thousands of unfilled vacancies in cybersecurity positions nationwide. Both private and public sector employers face challenges in recruiting personnel, hiring, and retaining professionals to fill these vacancies, which negatively affects our collective cybersecurity. Now, growing talent is a priority under the recently released White House National Cybersecurity Strategy in Congress. Mr. Garcia and Ms. Pierce, can you speak to the specific and unique challenges in the healthcare sector as far as identifying, recruiting, hiring, and retaining IT professionals, and do you have any recommendations for us today?
Well, I can personally, thank you for the questions. I can personally share that recruiting and retaining cybersecurity staff is a daunting task for a small facility. I don't believe that there will be a time when small hospitals will have dedicated cybersecurity staff in-house. I believe moving to a managed service provider type environment where those types of services are outsourced to the people whose business is cybersecurity defenses. Hospitals' main priority is taking care of patients. It's healthcare. That's their mission. It's not cybersecurity. So I believe if we go to a model where those things are more outsourced, it would be beneficial for smaller facilities.
First, do no harm. And I think that is inclusive of protecting somebody's personal and health information. Senator Rosen.